high school and middle school, they said I was dyslexic and that
Mm.
I had a disability and that I would never be able to graduate from college and that there was no hope for me. So even with that being said, my struggle was a lot more difficult than most students because sometimes I had to record things,
Mm-hmm.
put it use braille, but the struggle was real. But with God's help, I was able to, overcome those obstacles. And the third key point, I had to ignore my naysayers because
Yeah.
there was a lot of professors, even some people in my family, that said with your disabilities and with your obstacles, there's no way you're going to be able to graduate. So
Wow.
I always believe in positive affirmations and positive affirmations for me. I told myself that I can accomplish anything that I set out to do. Number three, you got to be a team player and you also got to be willing to network. Dr. Marcia Taylor was one of my awesome mentors, and we all know who she is, but she was one of my mentors. She kept me afloat. She encouraged me to keep pushing forward. So that's what I learned from Delaware State University
Mm-hmm.
as well. It just prepared me for the workplace. It allowed me to spruce up my resume. It opened up opportunity for interns. It opened up opportunities for relevant work experiences and the extracurricular activities. I think maybe was on maybe 14 different organizations, which was phenomenal.
Wow. That's good.
Yes. And in the broadcast journalism department, we actually were able to, back then, we only had the radio station. So that
What?
gave us on hands experience. So during that time, we had the Hornet newspaper. So we were writing. We
Mm-hmm.
were writing all of our articles out then. And we had the dark room where we had to go in the dark room for hours and cut and paste back then. So it was a challenge, but we did it. Dell State also allowed me to um, define my professional goals, apply for interns, and it also prepared me to focus more on my major. And like I said before, I had my second daughter when I was in college. So I was a mother, I was a student, I was in multiple organizations, and I also worked on campus. But I always tell single mothers, I'm a product of it, but if you want, you can make it,
Yeah.
regardless of all the obstacles. Many obstacles, but I made it.
Yes, that's such a great story. I'm curious to know, through all the different setbacks you had and different trials and tribulations that you went through, what was your biggest motivation? Like to just keep pushing, to keep striving, to join all these organizations. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, when you have a child, it's hard for you to adjust to getting back in the groove of school. And then you weren't just a student going through the motions. You were like, you know what? I'm going to join this org. I'm going to do this org and I'm going to try to get more involved. So, what was your push and your motivation to just keep going forward?
My spirituality with God, and I have a quote that I always say. I said, there's always something down on the inside of you that lets you know there's something roaring in the inside of you.
Mm.
So there was just motivation from down on the inside. Sometimes we face our greatest obstacles or opposition when we're closest to our biggest miracle. So
Wow.
my biggest miracle at that time was graduation. Even though I faced obstacles, I just kept saying, every setback, there's a miracle behind this. Every setback is pushing you to graduation, and just affirmations and just encouraging myself. I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. So
Wow.
I went to college. And then after I went to college, I had five cousins that also attended DSU.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as I was saying, I had my first daughter when I was in college. And my daughter last week got her PhD as well. So just motivating myself, self talk, just talking to myself, encouraging myself. And I always tell myself I can't allow my past or present conditions and control my future because I'm going through a process. When we're in the process, sometimes we can't see the end result.
Mm-hmm.
So I have learned how to walk it out even in the process. I'm here right now. I always say sometimes you got to be in the pit before you go to the palace. So
Yeah.
when I'm in the pit, I have to speak life to myself. When I'm in a pit, I have to encourage myself. When I'm in the pit, I have to remind myself that this is not over. So that's what has kept me. I recognize I had to go to another level, and that was changing my mindset. And a lot of us, we have to change our mindset. sometimes I look at things with my natural eyes and I have to put on my spiritual mindset. My spiritual mindset is greater than my natural mindset. Even like graduating, I had to study twice as hard with that disability. I had to go to the disabilities office. I had to get help. And they said I would never even graduate from college. I had a I had a triple major and graduated a year later, but I graduated with honors. So I just love encouraging other people. I always say each day is God's gift to me.
Yes.
Each day is God's gift to me. So it's up to me what I do with that gift that God has given me. What you do with it is up to you. So I just put on my spiritual mindset, and I thank God every day for the things that I've accomplished. I put him first in all that I do. And that has been a major asset to my success.
Awesome. With that, did you have any support systems there at Delaware State University? Like, did you have any favorite professors or classes, or where you knew that, you know, you were protected, or was like a safe space for you?
Yes. Also during this time, my third semester, I was in a really bad car accident. So at the time, Dr. Scott King was the chair at DSU. And I was like, I'm dropping out. I can't do this. I just want to quit. How am I going to do this? So let me tell you about Dr. Scott King.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Scott King drove my work to Sussex County to my house so
Wow.
that I could complete the semester. Not only did that, he made sure that my work was picked up every week.
Mm.
He at least talked to me once a week, but he was like a major coach, a major life changer in my life. He told me, he said, you've been through too much and you can't quit. He said, I'm going to make sure that you don't quit. Dr. Marcia Taylor, she was another one. I just was like, I can't do this with a daughter. It's just too much. And like, it's times where I didn't do assignments and she would call me on the phone and she was like, you're going to get that assignment done at any cost necessary. So those were two people that were great inspirations to me. And then there was a professor. His name was Dr. Gardner, and he was in the history department.
Mm-hmm.
And history wasn't one of my greatest areas, but he taught me testing strategies to remember the information.
Mm-hmm.
He even stayed after class or set up time where I was able to study with him to make sure that I was effective and I got an egg in every history class that I took.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a business teacher. Her name was Mrs. Reeves. She was funny. She was outgoing. She was just phenomenal as well. But these are some of the professors that actually they called me at home. They
Mm-hmm.
made sure that my work was completed, and they also encouraged me and inspired me to keep pushing forward.
Awesome. How do you feel DSU prepared you for your career?
I think I was very much prepared. I'm gonna tell you, Dr. Marcia Taylor, she was very hard on me. Oh gosh, I wrote and wrote and wrote. And you got to remember back then, all of her assignments were handwritten.
Mm-hmm.
One time she made me rewrite an assignment 10 times. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this. But because of her, it prepared me when actually I started my intern and my first job at the TV station. Um, I was real quiet when I attended DSU. So some of the courses that I should have received in, I got a B, like speech. Because when I first entered to DSU, I was afraid to talk. I refused to give speeches. I refused to talk. So that kind of lowered my GPA. But Del State prepared me. It prepared me to talk while at DSU. Back then, I enrolled in a Toastmasters through the college.
Nice.
So it gave me speaking opportunities. The radio segments gave me experience to be on the air. So it actually prepared me. And also the Career Resource Center, part of graduation, you had to have a resume. You had to have an intern as well. So it well prepared me. And I met a lot of connections within the community as well. I was well prepared from because of DSU.
What do you suggest others do when trying to network? Like, what do you feel is the best way to network and build relationships in your field?
Well, I'm in um, maybe four Lions clubs, philanthropy groups, um, Kiwanis clubs, that is the best way to network, most definitely, because they have pretty prestigious people in these groups, and it will open up definitely a lot of opportunities for you. One of the people that was in one of the philanthropy groups that I was in was Tom Draper, which Tom Draper is the owner of WBOC before he passed away. So in this particular group, it opened up a door. I didn't even have to interview like everybody else. He was like, just come down to the station and I'm going to give you a job. So just interacting in some of the organizations. I became a president for the NAACP. I became a Big Brothers and Big Sister president. So just getting in organizations, it allowed me to meet people. And chambers or converses are definitely influential and definitely needed.
Awesome. What was the biggest transitional issue you faced when you left DSU for the workforce?
Wow, that's a great question. One of my biggest issues, like I said, I was a single mom. So transitioning when I graduated from college, when you're applying for a job, you got other people with more seniority. So I needed to have day hours, and most of the jobs had even hours. So the transitioning for my family and to making arrangements for these jobs was one of my most difficult transitions. And also, my parents were a great support. So now that I graduated from college, I don't have that financial support. Like, I'm on my own. Because my dad was like, now you got to pay for your own insurance. You got to pay for your own living expenditures. So now I have all these bills. And I'm like, okay, I definitely have to have a job,
Right.
maybe two jobs. So just transitioning from a student to adulthood, transitioning from a student to a full-time job, transitioning from obstacles and fears. And like when you're getting out of college, you have a lot of fears because you don't really know what the real world is about. So those were some of my major transition points. And I had to learn how to come outside of my comfort zone. And coming outside of my comfort zone was because of my faith. I always said my faith tells me that no matter what lies ahead of me, God is going before me. He's always working behind the scenes. And like I said, my greatest fear was just like, what do I do now? And through prayer, God let me know this is what you do. He ordered my steps. There's times where I didn't have a babysitter. There was times where I had to go to work, and he always opened up a door for when I needed help or when I needed support. And I always say it's not over till God says it's over. And a lot of people say, well, you can't mix professionalism with God, but that's my source. And all I know is God has brought me this far, and I come too far to turn around. And I never settle for less than God's best. You can't never settle for less than God's best. So when I was applying for like jobs, I started off at WBOC, but then I was like, I want to go to New York to a CBS affiliate. So I think I applied 13 times before I got a job. Now I'm a country girl, so Delaware is a country. So I went from a country to Mount Vernon, New York,
Yeah.
to the Bronx. Yes, I lived in Mount Vernon, to the Bronx, to New York City. So it was like a culture shock to me.
Yeah.
People in the country, and they were telling me, they said, well, you sound like you're from the country. It was like a complete country. It was like a culture shock. So those are some of the things that I dealt with, just adapting to city life, the trains, the metro, just adapting to that was just something else for me.
Yes. If you could go back in time, would you go to DSU again? Why not?
Most definitely. And I encourage, look, I've been a high school English teacher as well. So through the Delaware State Alumni in Sussex County, they said that they need more young people. So I already started. I already recruited about 12 young people. And I'm helping them right now to get their paperwork to attend DSU. And I think DSU is a wonderful university to attend. And if you think about it, for the New England region, Delaware State is the closest HBCU anyway. Am I correct? Yes. So I encourage students to attend Delaware State. And I always tell them it's not the college, but it's what you do while you're at the college.
Yes.
And, I've never received any different treatment for any of the jobs that I applied for. I think DSU is a wonderful place. It well prepared me. I met wonderful colleagues. Met wonderful faculty while teaching in the English department at DSU to empower other students. So I highly recommend DSU, most certainly. It
So
will prepare.
you taught at Delaware State University as well.
Yes, I'm still teaching periodically in the English department. So I've been teaching in the English department since 2002 because of Dr. Scott King. He actually got me the job. So yes, I've been teaching it in the English department, in the mass comm department as well.
Awesome.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on Joe Biden's presidency?
Wow. Well, I actually, like I said before, I've done some intern work in his office. I think he's a president with integrity. He inspires others to achieve their American dream. He always listens to both sides. And I can say this because I know him personally. He puts the national interest at first hand. He's always willing to hear the opinions of others. Um, I believe that he's going to restore decency to the United States and give us some civility to the Oval Office. He's a calm, collective, humble man. And I think that we need that right now for the season that we're going into. And the thing I love about him is he puts the national interest first and not his personal interest. So he listens to the people, and then he comes up with resolutions. Some of his challenges, I think, as a president, is to repair the damage that has already been done. But I believe that he can do it and that he will do it. And you already know we got our first African American VP.
Yes.
So it's on and popping. I had my pearls and chucks on yesterday.
Yes.
So I believe that she is going to be phenomenal by his side. And I believe that there is going to be a change in the country. He's a great deal maker for foreign policy. He believes in economic recovery. And the thing that I love most about our president-elect is he builds coalitions across the lines of racial diversity. So I love that about him. And I do believe that he's going to be a president that makes awesome changes.
Yes, thank you for those amazing answers. And I'm going to pass it over to Harvey.
Well, thank you, girl. That was inspirational. I really enjoyed it. Now we're going to open up the call to everyone else to ask questions. I believe also Kimberly B, Alisha, Dr. Alisha, she wanted you to list some of those organizations that you had mentioned earlier. Okay. So when you get a chance, if you can list them in the chat area, that would be great.
Most definitely.
So I'm opening up to everybody else. I'm asking you all to unmute now. Yeah. So you all can unmute your calls.
So this is Dwayne. I got a question. Talk to me about your. You said you're an author, and I'm sitting here looking at some of your work. Can you tell me what some of your inspiration is behind it? And I'd love to hear that. Share some of that.
Well, the first book that I wrote, I'm a spoken word poet as well, and I like poetry. So a close friend of mine passed away. He was in the military and he was overseas to Desert Storm and he passed away. So I wanted to create a scholarship. So I created a scholarship in his name, and all the monies from the books goes towards the scholarship. So that's the reason why I wrote my first book. And we give it to a Milford High School student every year. And I'm honored that the scholarships we have given out the last 2 years actually went to DSU students. So that motivated me for the first book. One of my most recent books is called Releasing the Pain, Walking and Healing. And that's kind of like a more private book. And it deals with a private side of me and a spiritual side of me because I was molested as a child. So I talk about how to overcome, abuse, physical and mentally and spiritual abuse within the book. I talk about dysfunctional families. I am a mental health counselor, a therapist. So I just give strategies about how to overcome trauma. And as a part of the trauma, I had brain surgery like 4 years ago. And this year I've had 2 procedures this year. So I talk about how I overcame. When I had the 2 procedures this year, the doctors actually told me that I had some signs of dementia. So it was difficult for me to read and write, but every day, every night I pray. I just keep speaking faith over my life. So that book, that's the reason I wrote that book. And then I have another book. It's called Business Practices and Principles. Broke yesterday, rich today. So that's a book of wealth. It talks about how to clear up your credit repair. It talks about how to get free scholarships to go to college. It talks about crowdfunding. So it's a book so that you can purchase how to restore credit and how to get residual wealth. So everything that I went through has been an inspiration for me to write those books. And when I started writing, I started looking at publishers, and some of the publishers were like $12,000. 397 YouTube videos later, I created my own publishing company. I self-published every single one of my own books.
Yay.
I YouTubed it, figured out how to make book covers, YouTubed it, figured out how to put the book format together, created my own publishing company, and I did my own books.
Wow.
And as Mrs. Harvey was saying, I always wanted to do a magazine, and the magazine is called Overcoming Obstacles. So this month, the magazine is going to launch on February the 1st. So when the magazine launches on February the 1st, I have women in there that have overcame major obstacles. And then I also have women in there because I actually had a professional photographer. So most of the women that are in the book are plus size women. So I said, you know what, plus size women, we still furious. So basically they got a makeover, they got like just a dress over, and they got a photo shoot. So they all have stories. So in the magazine, we will be telling their stories and how they overcame. And also in the magazine, for businesses that are just starting off, I will be running free advertisements for those businesses. So I just want to give back to the community. So that's why I started the magazine and I wrote those books.
Great. That is excellent. Saida, I think you wanted to ask a question. You can unmute your line now. Saida? Okay, I think she's doing something. I didn't know that you lived in Mount Vernon. Where did you live at? Do you remember?
I lived on at 132 East Side Hill.
East Hillside.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you didn't live that far away from me.
Yes, yes.
You probably crossed paths and did not know it.
Well, how I got to Mount Vernon is because when I was looking for some interns and I was talking to Dr. King, and I first thought I wanted to be an English teacher. So he was like, well, you just need to get out of the country. You just need to go to the city. So he had some contacts at Mount Vernon Middle School. So I said, I don't want to go to no city. A part of the department then, we had to have an urban experience and we had to have a rural experience. So that's how I got to Mount Vernon.
Okay. How did you like it? Because back then it was nice.
It was nice. Yes, it was nice.
It was still nice.
Yes,
it's not so much now. Not so much now.
Yes.
But that your story is so inspirational. Actually, to be honest with you, I want you back a second time. I think Sharon has a question. Sharon?
A question and a comment. As I listen to your challenges that you've encountered along your journey and your outcomes, I'm sitting here saying to myself, shame on me, because I know I'm in my way of completing a process that I'm going through. So my little barriers are nothing compared to what you've done. And you truly have been an inspiration to me. And I do know Dr. Taylor and Dr. King both, and they're both great people. Yeah. My question to you, you mentioned them as mentors, but I think they were part of the community, college community setting. Did you have any mentors outside of DSU, and how did you select? How do you go about selecting a good mentor?
Yes, one of my mentors, his name is Tom Gaboski. He was one of the presidents for the Lions Club as well. And I chose him because he was also a mass comm major. So when I was looking for a job and when I had papers and when I had interviews, I always called on him to do the interview with him. He was a major asset to me as well. I got a full ride to DSU, but there's times that I needed, some things, and he was always there financially, emotionally, physically. And he said the Lions Club would help me, and they did. And he came to my graduation. I was in the DSU gospel choir. I was one of the DSU chaplains before. So he was just always there, no matter what I had. And he was always encouraging me. And when I had the car accident, I literally wanted to quit. I took a whole semester off. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And for him to bang at my door, and he told me, he said, if I have to drive you back to that campus, you will complete your degree.
Wow.
He took time out of his schedule to come to my house to see about me. He drove me to the campus and made sure I was registered for the next semester. He was just an awesome mentor to me.
Mm-hmm.
And back then we didn't have cell phones, and he called me every single day till I finished that semester, every single day.
That's awesome. And you are very, very blessed to have had that type of network, that opportunity to network people who got you through. Thank you.
Yes.
Does anybody have any other questions or anything else to say?
I just want to say I am truly impressed with all that you did while you were on campus. And I thought I had a busy schedule running around doing what I did, but boy, I don't even know how you could do all that and still graduate with honors and have a child. And it's just amazing. I obviously you have been truly blessed, and I love to hear that you're blessing other people. So continue to do that. That strength that you have is rare. And to be able to share that with others it's amazing.
I just want to thank DSU sorors and frat brothers, because I just had a coat drive where I wrote a grant and I was able to secure 795 coats. I reached out to some of DSU sorors and frats, and they came to help. It was phenomenal. And they are also my partners in whatever I need for as volunteerism. They always show up, and they always show up strong. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's absolutely. I'm always blown away. Even when I spoke to you on the phone, just like you said, you feel somebody's spirit, and you know that they're just, they're God sent, and you are definitely one of those people. And I'm very glad now to call you my friend.
Oh, thank you guys.
We're going to be doing a lot of things
I hope
together.
somebody was encouraged on tonight and inspired to move forward, regardless of what it looks like. Even with the challenges, I have challenges going on right now with my eyes. And some days I wake up and I can't even see out of both of my eyes or one of my eyes. But even in the challenges, I have learned how to get past it. Some days I got to use Braille, but I'm okay. But I have to learn how to beat those challenges. So to all the students that are listening, even if you have challenges, you still can beat those challenges. You just have to work a little harder.
Okay. Monica has a question, and also Kimberly. So Monica, you can go first.
Yeah, something you said, it's more of a statement. Something you said earlier in the call was, you don't like to really talk about yourself, but I just wanted to say to you, I think you should. Just your ability alone cultivates an awe, inspiring inner strength. It's extremely powerful. And so I think you need to take that and continue to do what you do. Because even in this short period of time, your words alone just kind of gave me the opportunity to think about some things from a different perspective. So, the word I have for you is awe-inspiring. So just wanted to thank you for that and your inner strength.
You're welcome. Keep on pushing and always believe in yourself and all that you are, because you're powerful. Know that there's something inside of you that is greater than any obstacle. So whatever you're going through, there's something on the inside of you that's even greater than the obstacles that you're going through. So keep pushing forward.
Definitely. And
Thank
I will
you.
definitely be talking to Marcia and letting her know the fruits of her labor. I had a meeting with her, and I chatted with her earlier today, but I definitely will let her know, because I think she would be extremely proud to hear, the kudos you've, given her this evening.
Wonderful. Yes.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Kimberly? Kimberly, you okay?
Okay. Yes, Dr. Alisha, first and foremost, I just wanted to say that your story, your testimony, and your professionalism, journey, and experience has been very inspirational. I've never heard of you, but when I did see the invite to join this call, I definitely was interested just to hear what you had to say and hear your story. And so I definitely would like to connect with you outside of this. I found you on LinkedIn, so I did request you.
Okay.
So professionally, that's the first kind of go-to software or app that I go to. So I definitely would like to connect with you. But my question is for recent grads, because this year I want to be more intentional of really being that mentor or that kind of go-to contact individual for either recent grads or upcoming seniors at Delaware State University. Sometimes where their downfall is they don't have a network outside of Delaware State University, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, yes, there's the Alumni Association, but really, where's the guidance when, they need to network in their area of expertise in their field and things like that. So what would you recommend to these recent grads or seniors who are looking to really get out into the professionalism and the workforce? What are some tips that you would recommend maybe as an advisor, as myself, or a mentor that we can actually help and guide them to?
Well, one of the things that I'm hoping that the Connect group would do is to maybe put together a Connect book or manual or something, maybe accord to majors. And like I said before, the Rotary clubs, the philanthropy groups, and the Lions clubs are phenomenal resources for students. They must get connected there because the resources, the time, the energy, the jobs, and the money is there. Because when people like you and you find favor, I always say, favor ain't fair, but favor is fair. And sometimes we don't move forward because of money, but when people like you, they give you favor. So I've encouraged students to do a lot of volunteer work. Find a Lions Club or philanthropy group to volunteer. That opens doors and that will encourage students. There they will find mentors. They will find networking. And so that's what I would definitely recommend. Hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you. Yes, I put myself back on mute. Thank you.
Also, I would like to reiterate and say, Kimberly, that you can connect to www.DSU Connect and be affiliated with people. You can be a mentor.
Yes.
And you can actually, there are drop downs where you can find people in your area that went to that students or people, because you still do have some people who are alumni that need a little bit of help. So all you have to do is there are drop downs for whatever, whether it's affiliations, whether it's your location, whether it's your major, and it'll populate all those people in the major in your area, and you can actually sign up to be a mentor. So you just go to www.dsuconnect.com and sign up. Have you signed up yet, Kimberly?
I'm not sure, but I did this. I know I signed up for something because that's the reason why I got this email notification. So I will double check, but I have that written down. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Now, if we don't have any more questions, also one other thing I want to say to you, Dr. Alisha, I want to say, just like, and sort of piggyback on what Monica said, take your flowers now.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me that, and it took me a minute to really understand that, because I'm like you, I'm not looking for accolades or anything like that. I do that because it's from the heart, because I want to. But it's okay to get your flowers now. It's okay. So we're giving you flowers.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Please accept them.
Yes, I see Sharon Drew. Is that Dr. Drew's wife?
She's on mute. Hello.
I just want to say he was one of my awesome mentors, and he's from Suffolk County too.
Yeah, I'm Martin Drew's wife.
My deepest condolences to you. And I just want to say in closing that your husband was phenomenal and also a great mentor to me, and an awesome Sussex County man that went to DSU.
Wouldn't it be great if homes came with a check shingles light? Well, they don't. And if you have an older roof, it may need to be replaced before the next big...
Okay, she been on mute. Okay. All right. Well, we have something special. We would like our moderator, Akilah Divine, who does the spoken word. She's going to do a special spoken word for us. So without further ado, here she is.
Thank you. I'll be doing this piece. It's called Mentally We Are Still Their Slave. And I'm going to get right into it. By what I'm about to tell you, do not be afraid. But Black brothers and sisters, mentally, we are still their slaves. America, land of the brave and land of the free, but are we really free? We never come together in unity. We are killing each other in the streets, working 9 to 5 just to be able to get something to eat and sleep at night comfortably, then repeat. The only thing we know is alcohol or weed, or at least that is how we are perceived, because we never reached to achieve, you see. Willie Lynch wrote a letter in 1712, how to keep a slave for thousands of years, and it worked out itself, to turn the young against the old, the male against the female, the light against the dark based on shade. And everyone's Broughton team, light skin or dark skin, like that stuff isn't played. There is hate and jealousy in our race. We haven't gone astray because we are stuck in our ways. We are letting them win by keeping things the way they've always been. And I'm no Martin Luther King, but I too have a dream. So when I speak, listen. We are set up by the system and systematic visions. 1 out of 3 Black men are in prison, and the curriculum in schools lack intellectualism. In addition, we are always in competition with one another. But all the whites, Mexican, and Chinese do is help each other. Some come over to America to start businesses, and we're worried about cars, shoes, and clothes to make appearances. This principle is beginning to get a little sickening. When will we rise to be superior like the Great Lakes, drown and demolish every obstacle in our way? So I'll leave this with everyone to say, we are in need of a change. So let's start today.
Oh.
Can I get a copy?
Awesome.
Can I get a copy of that? Okay.
Awesome.
Yes.
That is so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
See, this is why I love the young people, because they are on point. Thank you so much. So I'd like to, if anybody has anything they'd like to add or they'd like to say, we're going to bring this call to a close, but I enjoyed it so much, even though I'm under the weather. I enjoyed it so much. And thank you so much, Miss Akilah Divine, for all your help. Of course, I'm calling on you again.
Okay.
Because you are absolutely amazing. And our doctor, our good friend, I am also calling on you again. Because you are outstanding. Okay. So thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all and have so much DS love for you guys so much. So do you guys want to say anything in parting or?
That's it for me. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this platform, and I look forward to working with each of you again in the future.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Well, good night. And thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure to connect.
okay. And I will be giving you a call right after. But thank you, everybody.
Yeah. See
Really
you all.
appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Be blessed. Bye.
Bye.
See you on the Connect.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.